these are all believers, mainly.
Okay.
Yeah, so now
it's got a very, very different feel from where we've come from, I must say.
Bombed Hamburg of May 1945 here in Riga.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because as you understand, in Hamburg almost nothing has preserved.
Yeah.
They said, this neighborhood looks like Hamburg in the last days of the war.
I understand.
Okay, now we've entered the ghetto, the big ghetto. Yeah, and so now we're going up Daugavpils Street. Yeah, so along Daugavpils Street went the border of so-called Reichsjuden. So where the Jews from Vienna were. Yeah, so Reichsjuden was to the right from us. Yeah, yeah, so if you see anything that you would like to take photo of, you say so. Now we're going along the fence of Reichsjuden. It was directly where we're going, in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
There were two fences. So to the left of us was so-called Latvian ghetto, where we're imprisoned after the big action of 30th of November and 8th of December 1941. We're imprisoned about 4,500 Latvian Jews. So those who were still alive. And to the right, all these blocks were Reichsjuden. We can turn to any street and maybe take a photo.
What I'd like, if it was possible, that we, because driving past, it's hard to see what to photograph.
Okay, I've asked the driver to turn on the next street. We will stop and walk along.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. We do a little bit of walking, then we see what we get.
That gives the last address and when the person was last seen, and so that's our main source.
Yeah,
we tried to make our own catalog of all the people mentioned in any memoirs and so on. Yeah, but this work unfortunately was left unfinished. Yeah. So I'll just show you the map. Perhaps you've seen it, but for you just understand. We were abolished of citizenship in Riga and so on. These, first of all, these were still Western European people. Yeah, so I mean, as I understand, for Germany, one thing was what was done in Eastern Europe. It was an occupied zone, and these Ostjuden were considered the worst of the Jews. So as Jews were the worst of the peoples, Ostjuden were the worst of the Jews. Still, these people, they came from Germany. They were considered to be more loyal. And so they were kept here in relatively maybe better conditions. First of all, they had families. Most of the Latvian Jews didn't have families, as you understand, as most of the women, children, elderly people, they were shot in these two major actions in the Rumbula forest in 30th and 3rd November, 8th of December 1941. Yeah, so German, Austrian, Czechoslovakian Jews, they had families. Families lived together, and so on and so on. So that was different, and they were considered to be more loyal to the Nazis.
This is an interesting concept.
No, that's not. And you see, for example, when in 1942 the resistance movement started in Latvian ghetto. I mean, Latvian Jews they had nothing to lose. They had lost their families, their freedom, everything that they had. Okay, they had their lives to lose, but who cared? Who cared at that moment?
Exactly.
So at that moment, German Jews, some of them, they said, you'll get not only yourselves in trouble, you'll get us into trouble. And they were very against it. And still we have several German Jewish authors, the survivors of Riga Ghetto. Most notable of them may be, Gertrude Schneider, who states that, this resistance that was stupid and that was more than a mistake, that, they could get into trouble everybody. And when this resistance movement failed, so Latvian ghetto was subjected to the German ghetto. So for the German Jews, to look after Latvian Jews. Okay, I'll just show you the map. So, Yeah, so these buildings, as you understand, they look more or less the same, on the same spots as when they were. Yeah, so that with a red pen is the big ghetto. Yeah, so we're from 23rd of August started settling of Latvian Jews, and then on the 25th of October the gates of the ghetto were closed. So about 30,000 Latvian Jews were imprisoned here. It existed for 1 month, in fact, till these two actions of November and December 1941. And then were established the two ghettos, so-called small ghetto or L ghetto, Latvian ghetto, these 4 blocks. When we went down Lūdzes Street, we had it on the left. And Reichsjuden ghetto, we're currently here. Yeah, so we're currently in Līgsnes Street, we're here. Yeah, so there you see a park. That's so-called Old Jewish Cemetery that existed here from 18th century till 1960s. It was included in the ghetto, and those who were executed in the ghetto, you know, for stealing food or something else, they were buried in the cemetery. Yeah, and so perhaps the grave is still there. Also, cemetery during the Soviet times was destroyed and turned into park. Yeah, so we'll walk around a couple of streets. In 1943, in fact, they started they started the liquidation of the ghetto. In summer 1943, they ended in early November. Yeah, and so here the ghetto was emptied. It was given to the municipality, and here were settled Ostarbeiters. So those who were now taken from Western Russia for slave labor, they were settled here. So they were transported through Riga. But some of these Nazis didn't manage to get to Germany, so they stayed here. Yeah, so now most of the population that lives here, these are descendants of these Ostarbeiters that were settled here in 1943 to 44. Yeah, so we can walk down this. If I'm not mistaken, for example, this house lived the Jews from Köln, from Cologne. Yeah. Yeah. Here's Kölner Strasse. That's, you see, the stencil. That's not original. Yeah, so these stencils with the names of the streets from the Nazi times, they appeared 2 or 3 years ago only. Nobody knows who did it. But it had all the streets of the former ghetto marked. And, you know, it caused a certain controversy. Because on one hand, anyhow, it's part of the history of the city. And, you know, some people treated it as, you know, it's preserving historical past and even commemoration. So we mark the presence of these German Jews being here. On the other hand, another people treated it as anti-Semitism and reminding the Jews of Nazi times and so on. So that you will see a lot of empty places here and empty plots. So of course, all of these were mostly built up.
But there is no house like you said here the Jews from Köln.
Where the
about
Jews
the
from Vienna? No. We don't know.
Yeah,
we know several locations where different.
It still be an issue.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You see, again, on my opinion, one of the main problems is that still they celebrate 9th of May near the Soviet monument liberated with the Soviet flags. I mean, for me, it perfectly would make sense if they would celebrate it near the monument of freedom with Latvian flags. Then the Latvian society would have nothing against, or at least they could not speak against it. I mean, when people gather with Latvian flags near the monument of freedom, what's going to be against? That's the same. That's the same. What would do the Waffen-SS veterans?